It's time for your daily LSU baseball update with Musso at the box. Now, Matt Musso.
And welcome in to another edition of Musso at the Box. LSU, they get the sweep that they desperately needed. 9-3, your final score on Saturday over the Ole Miss Rebels to send them back to Oxford and most likely, for all intents and purposes, ruin and end their season, while LSU put themselves in an incredibly strong position to continue theirs, not only in Hoover, Alabama at the SEC tournament, but beyond. It was a phenomenal weekend for the LSU Tigers to close out the regular season at Alex Box Stadium, and we will talk about it all. I have a lot to say, both on the game Saturday, which was one of LSU's best games all year that they played, mind you, and it came in a game 3 where you had just struggled so mightily. So we have a lot to say on that. We have a lot to say on the guys who've put so much into this year, have gone through the ringer, have had their own personal struggles, team struggles, all of that, and some of them put together incredible weekends to close out the regular season at Alex Box Stadium and really close out the season at the Box. Some funky things would have to happen for LSU to end up back there. You'd have to have a lot of upsets around the NCAA tournament for that to happen. So we have perspective, big picture, and, kind of just in the immediate, we have just so much to get to, and I am fired up to get to all of it with you all. Smash the like button if you have not already. Get subscribed up to the YouTube channel if you have not already. Get subscribed up on your favorite podcast app if you have not already. Follow me on the social medias. All of that greatly appreciated. And let's get right to it. We will start with game number 3, LSU, Ole Miss. LSU goes into this weekend knowing 13 is your goal. The sweep is your goal. You never want to go into a weekend thinking sweep. That's just not how you do it. That's the position they were left in because of what happened Friday night at Alabama. And boy, did they respond. You got a great starting pitching effort from Gage Jump in game number 1. You had some timely hitting early in that game, and your bullpen was able to hold on down the stretch, and you win 5-1. You get an equally as impressive outing from Luke Holman, 6 2/3 in a start on Friday. You have timely hitting early, and your bullpen holds on late, and you win that one 4-2. And then LSU doing what you did. You won behind your 2 horses. And now you go into game 3, which has just been an incredible struggle for them. We've talked about it. We detailed what we thought was the biggest issue. And we're going to get to that because they were marked with improvement in this past game number 3. But you go in and you feel like you're going to pitch well, but you're going to have to piece it together. And you did. And you had guys step up and make big pitches at big tipping points in the ball game, and you won. And for the majority of it, it was not in doubt. The only question was, are you going to end this thing in 7 innings? Now, ultimately, they didn't. It went the full 9, but it was a massive win for LSU. So let's dive into it if we could. Let's just kind of go play-by-play on it here. Sam Dutton pitches around some trouble in the first. He got the start. I liked the decision. I mean, he's a strike thrower. He struggled a little bit at times there kind of late in that inning, but he really bared down and got the out. I kind of was wondering, okay, what are they going to do? Like, are they going to bring him back out? It looked like it was kind of the plan to just have him go that 1 inning and then turn the ball over to Nate Ackenhausen, and that's what they did. But he pitched around a little bit trouble, gave up the double to Fisher, walked Furness, but gets a fielder's choice to end it, and you get the Tigers up to the plate. Braswell, on the first pitch he sees from Mason Nichols, singles up the middle. Jared Jones comes up with a great at-bat, and Jones did not have a good weekend. Like, he didn't. Jones did not have a good weekend. There's a lot of swing and miss, a lot of strikeout, but in that at-bat in the first inning, he did very well. He was down in the count 1-2, came back and worked the walk, earned his way on base. After a fly out from Pearson, you have runners at second and third. because runners at first and third. Braswell advanced on the fly ball from Pearson. Hayden Travinski comes up. LSU puts Jones in motion. He ends up stealing second base. You have runners at second and third, 2 outs. Hayden Travinski, who has been struggling down the stretch, and he comes up with a double down the left field line. So it's a clutch hit early. It's a hit with runners in scoring position, and it put LSU up 2-0. It set the tone for the day. It really set the tone for the day. Ackenhausen comes in the second, 3 up, 3 down, looked good. LSU gets Larson into scoring position with a double in the second. Unfortunately, they can't bring him home, and that's when the thought kind of starts to creep into your mind, right? Oh no, how's this going to go? Ack would pitch around a couple base runners in the third. You get to the bottom of the third. Again, you advance a runner into scoring position. Another walk from Jones, a single by Pearson on the infield. And Travinski's coming up, and he grounds into the double play. And that's really when the thought creeps in. Like, if it started to creep in the second, it really creeps in the third, where it's like, man, you come through in a big spot there in the first, 2 outs, 2 on, runners in scoring position, score on both. You have opportunities the next 2 innings, and you can't cash in. And you're thinking, man, this feels real familiar when you're looking at Game 3 in LSU. And you're right to think that. But then in the top of the 4th inning came the biggest tipping point in the ballgame. And it's one where you've seen LSU lose this tipping point plenty. And they didn't this time. And it completely swung the ballgame. So Ethan Groff leads off with a triple to right field. Looked like Larson had a chance to grab it, just couldn't do it, and he ends up with the triple. On the very next batter, battles Ackenhausen tooth and nail and draws a walk. So now you have runners at the corners, nobody out, and you're up by 2 runs. They go to Fidel Ulloa in the bullpen. Ulloa gets the fielder's choice, a little tapper back to the mound. He made a great play to glove it, great feed to Milazzo, and you cut down the run at the plate. That was huge. For a leadoff triple to not score, that is massive. Like, I don't really know if you can put much value or overstate the value of that play. That was a fantastic play by LSU and Fidel Ulloa and Alex Milazzo. But Smithwick reaches, right? Or excuse me, Burford reaches. So you still have runners at first and second, 1 out. You're not out of this yet. You get the fly out to right field. It advances the runner from second, so you're right back runners at the corners. And then Ulloa gets out of it, gets Birch to foul out. He came in first and third, nobody out in a 2-run game. Boom, boom, boom. Gets you back in the dugout and puts up a 0. And right at that moment, I tweeted. I was like, here, let me find the actual tweet, and we'll read it verbatim here. What it was. It said Ulloa comes in with runners at the corners, no outs, and hangs a 0. The offense has to respond, and respond did they ever. Stephen Milam starts the inning with a single. Mac Bingham walks. Ashton Larson walks. Bases loaded. Nobody out. And at this point, you're into the Ole Miss bullpen. So that's 3 games in a row. 3 games in a row, LSU chases the Rebels starter without them getting through 5 innings. 3 games in a row. That's phenomenal. And after the bases are loaded with a single walk, LSU goes with 3 straight hits. Milazzo singles with 2 strikes. That scores a run, station to station. Michael Braswell with 2 strikes, singles to left field. That scores a run, station to station. And then Tommy White, blast. First pitch, disrespectful bat flip, just humiliating Ole Miss with that grand slam. And the game is blown open. First pitch he saw, no doubt, shot. And I will tell you this, that was just one of those moments. And you haven't really had many of those moments for the LSU offense this year, but that was one of those moments where you just knew. You just could feel it. Tommy White was hitting a grand slam right there, and he did. And it was a blast, and again, it blew the game completely open. LSU is up 8-0, and you're feeling pretty darn good about it the rest of the way. In the 6th inning, Tommy White would come up again, solo homer. That would make it, and it would answer an Ole Miss run that happened in the top of the sixth. So that makes it 9-1. Unfortunately, Justin Lohr would have some struggles in the seventh, give up a couple of runs. I thought Thatcher Hurd pitched really well, kind of the rest of the way for you. And then Gavin Guidry came in and slammed the door, got the out that you needed there. And LSU gets the win. But you highlight that fourth inning. The first inning, because of the two-out hit with Travinsky, that was huge. And then the fourth inning, top and bottom. We've talked so much this year about them losing the tipping point in the ballgame. We've talked about it. They've talked about it. Jay's talked about it. Everyone has, because it's just been what you've seen. It's why we kept saying, man, they just need something to go their way, right? They're looking for one thing to break. Nothing broke their way. They made their own luck there. Fidel Ulloa came out and grabbed it and freaking got you out of a first and third no-out situation. And then your offense responds with 6. We sat here and said LSU was going to pitch well enough to win Game 3. That I was not concerned about that, because they've been doing it, where they're going to be able to hit with runners in scoring position. Y'all remember the number? If you do, shout it out. Say it out loud. It's fine. LSU in their last 10 Game 3s heading into Saturday was hitting 141 with runners in scoring position. LSU on Saturday against Ole Miss hit 286. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that that's lighting the world on fire, that all the woes are solved, but 286 is a hell of a lot better than 141. And you saw it mainly in those 2 innings, and then you get Tommy White with the solo homer. We've made so many jokes about the solo homers that this team has hit this year. But when you're hitting 286 with runners in scoring position, the solo homer is really valuable. And that was a really valuable run that Tommy White added. And LSU got the leadoff man consistently aboard in that game. They were fantastic in advancement opportunities, and you saw what happened. They combined that with the runners in scoring position offense, and bam, 9 runs. That is the most runs LSU scored in a Game 3 in SEC play. It is the most runs that LSU has scored in a traditional Game 3, not talking about their 4-game weeks, since the Houston trip when they put up 10 against Texas State. That was a great performance by LSU when they needed it most. And that's kind of what I want to talk about now. Do you remember where this team was after the first half of conference play? I know you do. We talked about it ad nauseum. They were 3-12. 10-5 down the stretch. Felt like a pipe dream. Y'all, I sat here, went through it before they even started that, and I said, they're going to win 11 games in conference. I consistently said, I don't think they're good enough to sweep anybody. And until they prove me wrong, I'm going to stick with that. I've never been more happy to be proven wrong, by the way. They were left for dead, and rightfully so. They weren't playing good baseball. And they're still not playing great elite baseball. I still don't think LSU's played their best baseball, but they're playing better. And that's what we've been saying has been undeniable, and it just continues to be more and more undeniable. Now, can you go on a run? We'll see. But the fact that this team, think about it. Everything goes against you. Gut-wrenching, gut-punching losses. Having to get off the mat, doing so and competing, and then still falling short again. Being run-ruled 3 times in the first half of conference play. Having your leadership questioned in the media by the head coach. Like, that happened. You have all of that going against you, and they pick themselves up and rally down the stretch, win 4 of your last 5 series, get to 10-5, get to 13 conference wins when you had 3 in the first half, and you're looking good right now for an NCAA tournament bid. A major hat tip to this ball club that found something, and it started on the mound, but even the leadership. You look at a guy like Alex Milazzo, who you're going to look at the bat, and the numbers aren't going to jump off the page, but the clutch hits that senior leader has for you down the stretch in this season is a major part to that 10-5. Major part. to that 10-5. You look at a guy like Michael Braswell, who took an incredible step at the plate in his first year in Baton Rouge and has fielded very well. The problem is, in the clutch moment, in the big spot, his glove left him. Look at him down the stretch here. He's been really, really good defensively. The only play that I can even really think of in the last 5 weeks of conference play was the misstep against A&M late in that ballgame, and ultimately it didn't hurt you. But he has taken a step forward there, and that is a massive part of the 10-5. Josh Pearson tapped into his clutch gene a little bit down the stretch. You saw it from your veterans. And then Tommy White this past weekend, we're going to get to him and go deep into that. But, I mean, it's just you've seen them come together, and they deserve a lot of credit. They deserve a lot of praise for the way they played down the stretch. We said all year the schedule was going to lighten up for you in the back, and you could make hay. That proved to be correct. They did it. And because of that, they've put themselves in a really good spot. You saw them start to win the tipping points. You saw them start to believe and gain confidence, and it has led them now to this point. So, man, I mean, round of applause, hats off. They played very, very, very good baseball down the stretch. And for them to be able to have the fortitude to go out there knowing you need a sweep with your season kind of on the line to get it done speaks to that fortitude, to that fight, to that grit that this team has. I'm not telling you LSU is going to go on a run and go to Omaha or even win a regional. I'm not telling you that. What I am telling you, though, is LSU is going to show somewhere up as a 3 seed, and the 1 seed ain't going to be happy to see LSU in their regional. Of that, I'm certain. Can they make something out of it? We'll see. But whoever draws LSU, because I think they're in, and we'll get to why in a minute, that team ain't going to be happy when they see the purple and gold and the defending national champions rolling into town. So, hats off, man. Great coaching by the staff as well to get this thing back on the right track, to keep these guys in the right frame of mind. The run they just went on, they deserve credit for that. We sat here and criticized them all year long. They deserve credit for what they just did, so credit where credit is due. All right. We will get to the NCAA tournament stuff. Hold on. Because I do want to talk about Tommy White. Because the weekend that Tommy White had was awesome. And he is getting hot, like scorched earth hot, at the right time for this team. Tommy White ended up 8 for 13 against Ole Miss, 615. He hit 3 home runs, 2 doubles, a triple, and drove in 7. Y'all, if that's not SEC Player of the Week, I don't know what is. And I think it's so fitting for that to happen in his last weekend at the box. Tommy White didn't get the packed house send-off that he deserved, like Dylan Cruz got last year in a super regional, like Paul Skeens got last year in a super regional, Trey Morgan, all of those guys. Tommy White didn't get that. But what he got, and he deserved that, by the way. But what he got might have actually been even better. He went out there and put the team on his back offensively when they needed it most and just went scorched earth in the last 3 games that he will ever play. I jokingly put on Twitter after he flew out in his last at bat at the box that happened, and I said, but I think his legacy will survive, though. What an impactful 2 years for that guy at LSU. How many massive swings did he come up with? I mean, the one everyone's going to point to is the walk-off homer against Wake Forest to send LSU to the finals in 2023. But how many massive swings did he come up with for LSU in 2 years? And then to take his defense to the next level. Just an incredible – you will be hard-pressed to find a more impactful 2 years than what Tommy White did at LSU. I'm not saying you can't. I'm saying it's hard to do. He was that awesome. He deserved that weekend. I just wish it could have been in front of a packed house. I wish he had a few more games at the box, but that was an awesome send-off for a true legend of this program, a program that has many. I look at Hayden Travinski, and I loved the day that he got on senior day. 3 hits, That was awesome to see for him, y'all. Awesome to see for him because he has struggled down the stretch. There's no way around it. For him to come up, go 3 for 4, 2 doubles, have the clutch 2 RBI double in the first, in his final at bat there, in his final game there, that was awesome. To see Jared Jones, who had struggled mightily this weekend, come up with a hit in what is likely his final at bat at the box. He's a draft eligible sophomore, and I'd be floored if he's on the board past round 3. So I think he's gone. To struggle the way he did and come up with the single in his last at bat, I thought was an awesome moment, and super proud and super happy for that guy as well, because he has been a valuable part of the last 2 years for LSU, helped them on a national championship run, filling in for Trey Morgan when they needed him to at first base, hitting 14 home runs and over 300 as a freshman. He's been integral. So to see those 3 guys who played such a role last year and this year get those types of moments across the weekend in Tommy White's case and in their final games and final at-bats, I thought were really cool, and I thought the send-off for all of them was great. Like I said, you just wish it could have been in front of 12,000, 13,000 in a super regional like it was last year when you're punching your ticket to Omaha, but each year's different, and that's not where this is. They each had something special for them, though, down the stretch. And look, I thought Alex Milazzo had a great weekend as well. So it maybe didn't come in his last at bat. He didn't get the ovation, but blue collar Alex Milazzo, that's kind of how that should have gone. So just great send-offs for all the guys. It was a great senior day, and for them to go out there and win when they had to do it, just awesome. All right, let's talk about the NCAA tournament. I kind of alluded to it earlier. I think LSU's in. I feel good about where they are. The 13 wins was the benchmark you needed to hit. They hit it. When you look at how some things shook out on the bubble around the country, you got some help. There's a few teams you still have to watch, but you got some help, which I think even solidifies it. The interesting thing here is I think you're headed for a record for SEC teams. You have 5 SEC teams with 13 conference wins, and they all deserve to be in. Their metrics are all incredible, and I think ultimately that they will all get in. Those 5 teams, Vanderbilt, South Carolina, Florida, LSU, and Alabama. Those are the 5 teams. They're all in the top 30 in the RPI. Like, all of their resumes are extremely strong. When you look at it, LSU's resume probably lacks the least, but winning 4 out of your last 5, that's an impression the committee will have. Getting to that 13 wins, that's an impression the committee will have. You are the defending national champion, and that does matter in this. Don't let anyone tell you that it doesn't. If they have a chance to put the defending champion, they will. That's a big storyline, obviously, there. So we talked about it. There was an option to get 11 in. There was a pathway, and it kind of played out the way that we went through it. I think you see it. When I look at things on the bubble that kind of worked in your favor, y'all, Utah, we've crapped on Utah, and deservedly so, and we're about to do it a little bit more. They're not a good baseball team. Their metrics stink. The Pac-12 stinks. Like, there is no – and Utah was firmly in the field in these projections. They played themselves out of that, so that's an open spot. They went on the road and got swept at USC. Their RPI is ranked 80th. That team cannot be in. In a league that's that weak, they cannot be in. You look at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech did not get to that 16 conference wins in the ACC. Now, their metrics are pretty good. They have a top 50 RPI, 9 quad 1 wins, a top 30 strength of schedule, but they're lacking the conference wins. They're going to be very bubbly. So, I don't think when you see projections come out that you'll see Georgia Tech in. That works. I think James Madison could actually be a problem right now. They won their last series. The Sun Belt's been really good. It's going to be a multiple bid league. Where James Madison could be a big issue is potential bid steal. Maybe if they go win that Sun Belt Conference tournament. I look at St. John's. We've crapped on them a lot, and we're going to do it again. Their resume is not good. St. John's RPI is ranked 63rd. They just lost their last series of the year to Georgetown. Their strength of schedule is 130th. Their non-conference strength of schedule is 200th. Their resume stinks. The Big East stinks. It's not a good league. That's a team that should be firmly on the bubble, and LSU should be firmly ahead of now. You look at Indiana. The Big Ten stinks. Indiana's resume is okay. Like, I think they could end up potentially being a little bit of a problem for you. They won their last series against Michigan, but their RPI is an issue. Their RPI is 60th. So when you look at this, the bubble is still very soft. I think Louisville is going to be in. Louisville, the only thing that could hold them out right now is the RPI number being at 52, but they got to 16 conference wins in the ACC. That's a really strong resume there. They have 7 quad one wins, just like LSU. But, that's something there. One more team to kind of look at, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech has played themselves out of this, I do believe. They were just swept in their final series against Virginia. Their RPI 61st. Like, I don't foresee that as a team getting in. They were fairly on the bubble. Like, last 4 in on the bubble. Them getting swept, that's going to back them out. So you got some help on a very soft bubble. You got to your mark of 13 conference wins. I think LSU's getting in, and I think you're going to see 11 SEC teams get in. I think you're seeing a record. When you look at LSU's resume, you're looking at a top 30 RPI, a top 20 strength of schedule, 7 quad one wins, 16 wins against the RPI top 50. That is strong. Now, you will go to Hoover, you will play Georgia, and if you beat Georgia, no one is keeping you out of this. And if you beat Georgia, you play Kentucky. And if you do that, at that point, maybe you can play yourself off a 3 line and get to a 2. I think that's asking a lot. Like, I think LSU will be a 3, and I think they should be a 3. But you beat Georgia, whose RPI is in the top 5. Oh, I'm sorry, it dropped to 6. Whose RPI is 6th. And then you get a chance to play Kentucky. At that point, you're playing for seeding. It wouldn't hurt to go in. But I think you're in. I think they've done enough, and I think you see a record 11 SEC teams get into the NCAA tournament. All of them deserve it. You have the strength of the league being as it is this year with only one team, Missouri, because they stink, not in the top 50 in the RPI, and you have that soft of a bubble. That is the recipe, I believe, to get a record 11 SEC teams in, and I think you see it. I think LSU is one of them, and they deserve a lot of credit for that. We will get you a preview of Georgia. We will, as conference championship week goes on, we will keep an eye on bid stealers and things like that, because that is something that could screw that up. Like that is the one thing that you still have to watch out for, is bid stealing. That can tarnish the record and all of that. So we will keep an eye on that as we go through conference championship week. But for now, a major hat tip to LSU, to their coaches for that performance. With all that pressure, to know you need the sweep, to go get it, is just massive. To want to fight and continue to play after everything you've been through is massive. I love the competitive spirit and the competitive fire of this team. That has really never been a problem. There aren't many times, if any, you could look at them this year and say they quit. And that's good. That's really good, obviously, and they were rewarded for it in the end. Let's see how it goes. I think they're in. We'll keep you posted, obviously, here on Musso at the Box. Smash the like button. Get subscribed. Follow me on social media. Get subscribed to YouTube channel and on your favorite podcast app as well. And be here next time for more on Musso at the Box.